Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to our 4th episode of Swimming Podcast. If you're new here, I'm Kate, and every week I talk with different people who have positively impacted the sport of swimming. I think I say this every time, but we have another great guest on the podcast today. She's a 2-time national champion, and she's a world championship medalist. With that said, let's get our guest, Kendyl Stewart, on the show. Kendyl, thank you so much for making time to talk to me on my podcast today.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Let's just start with the basics. So, when did you first start swimming and why?
So I would say I started taking lessons, just kind of recreational swim club when I was probably 7 because I'm from San Diego and we live pretty near the beach. So my parents just, wanted me to be water safe, make sure that there would be no accidents when I was enjoying, Southern California weather outside at the pool, whatever. And I joined with my best friend, and it just turned into something that I was kind of a natural at and really loved. But I would say probably until today, like I'm 24 years old, and I still just do it to be with my friends. Like I was never serious about it until I was probably 13 years old. Like I just went to hang out with all the girls and mess around, and it was never a serious thing for a very long time. It was just kind of something that was fun.
Yeah, so you're training with Team Elite Aquatics, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm sure you have a lot of friends on that team as well. What's it like training with them?
It's so awesome. Like I said, I'm from San Diego. I went to University of Southern California and moved up to LA for college, and so it's nice to move back home. And it's interesting to be swimming. We train at the same pool that I trained at with my club team in high school.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's pretty interesting to be back and kind of in the same routine and the same groove, but as a totally different swimmer, a totally different person, and with such an elite group of athletes. I'm thankful that, I have this opportunity to come and train with Team Elite and with David, just literally like right at home. And it's great that I have so many awesome teammates that have come from around the country and around the world to swim at my home. But the group is awesome. It's Kathleen Baker, Leah Neal, Allie DeLuke are kind of the American women that are here, and we have Michael Chadwick, Jacob Pevley, just Yosuke Iri. I don't know, he's a Japanese, Olympic medalist, and the group just continues to grow. So I would say in the past year, it's kind of transformed from something where it's a small handful of people, and now it's definitely growing and will continue to grow through 2020, definitely.
Yeah, funny story. Allie DeLuke was actually my camp counselor. I went to a Michigan swim camp, and she was my camp counselor once, but it's funny that you...
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
no way. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. You should reach out to her.
I know. I really want to try and get her on the podcast. Maybe
I'll
for...
tell her that you should.
Yeah, maybe for a future episode. But like you said, with so many elite level swimmers, I'm sure you've done some pretty crazy sets. Do you?
Yeah.
What do you have like one that you've remembered being like really hard?
Oh my gosh. But I don't. That's a hard question today. So I just finished my lift before I got on the phone with you. But today we did a lactate set, and it was kind of broken up into different groups. So there was 200 group, 100 focus, and then sprint group. And I can't tell you exactly what it was because I was in the sprint group for actually probably like the first time in my life. But the 200 people did a certain number of broken 200s, a certain number of hundreds best average, I think 6 100s best average, and then into some hundreds broken with 20 seconds rest. And the hundreds people they didn't do the 200s broken, they just did hundreds best average into some hundreds split with 20 seconds of the 50. And then super sprinters did some power efforts with parachutes. So we did some 50-meter blast from a dead start with parachutes into some shooters off the bottom, into some sprint blast 15s from a jump start, and then we did all of that into a fast 100, and we did four total fast 100. So it was just a lot of 100 fast, no matter what group you were in, lots of 100s, which no one likes to do long course repeated,
Yeah. Did you do that set mainly fly or back or a little bit of both, or what you
So
did?
I did the power efforts, all the short stuff with the parachute and the sprinting. I did that all butterfly, and then the hundreds I did hundreds freestyle, and then on the last round I did broken 100 fly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so our team doesn't really use parachutes. We use drag socks, which I guess are, kind of similar. but fly is just terrible doing with the drag socks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about FINA World Championships because everyone on Team USA swam like incredible. And my question is, how do you think the team was able to be so dominant throughout the entire meet?
It's been a while since I was on a Team USA meet. This is my first one in a couple of years.
Mhm.
But from my perspective, I just felt like the team was so relaxed and it was a good vibe between all the swimmers. From my perspective, it was a smaller group of athletes because World Championships is kind of at a funny time of the year, short
Yeah.
course. So a lot of collegiate athletes are in finals or can't miss enough school to travel all the way to China for 3 weeks or however long it was.
Mhm.
So it was a small group, and it was a lot of postgraduate athletes that I know well and I'm close with
Mhm.
just from growing up on youth team trips or previous national team trips. It was a lot of my personal friends that were on the trip, so that made for a really kind of unique, laid back vibe. A lot of post
Mhm.
grad just friends together, and I think there was like a lot of powerhouse just studs that were there. Able to. I feel like once the momentum gets picked up, it's pretty easy to be motivated and inspired by teammates when you have people who are just doing awesome world crushing things.
Yeah.
But that was just fun.
Do you have a favorite memory or a part of the meet that you like to share?
Yeah, I mean, everything on the pool deck is obviously fun and exciting, but I feel like everyone can look up those results online. So I
Yeah.
like to talk about, the experience, the warm and fuzzies, the things that are my favorite parts of swimming, just, traveling around the world with my friends. And
Mhm.
I think my favorite for me, honestly, or one of my favorites besides, going a best time and winning a medal was just
Yeah.
Leah Neal and I were teammates in San Diego. We've been friends since probably 2008 when we swam in Olympic trials when we were 13 years old. Like, to be 24 years old and sharing a room with her, still friends with her at World Championships in 2018. That was fun. And we had an adjoining room with a third, like, very
Mhm.
close friend of ours, Madison Kennedy.
Yeah.
So the
Mhm.
three of us kind of we spent a lot of time in the hotel in China just because there wasn't a ton of touristy, exciting things to do in that
Mhm.
part of China. And even if there were, we were resting to swim, obviously.
Yeah.
Everyone knows how, like, paper meets go in the hotel with your teammates. So that was fun just to, like, sit in the three of us in one bed and watch, Netflix documentaries and write each other little notes before going off to the session and just have fun friend time and also then go to the pool and crush it and be like, a dominant force at the pool. It's just like a fun balance.
Yeah.
I like the friendship times. That's my favorite part of swimming.
Yeah, that's great that you said that. And I mean, clearly having fun, being relaxed, that led to some very fast swimming.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so here I have another question for you. All swimmers go through some ups and downs throughout their career, and my question is, what obstacles have you faced and how were you able to overcome them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have recently had a lot of those kind of ups and downs in my swimming. I would say until the summer, at Nationals in 2018, I went a best time in my 100 fly, and I think also in my 50 fly. But prior to
Mhm.
that, the last time I had gone a best time was 2014 when I won both those national titles that you mentioned. So
Mhm.
I went from 2014 to 2018 without going a best time in my primary event, and in between that was a third place at Olympic trials. And so it was tough, and I
Yeah.
wasn't really sure. Like, I always felt like I had more fast swimming in me, and I knew that I wanted it and I loved the sport, but
Mhm.
I was stuck in kind of a weird groove where I felt like, I'm done with college. Maybe it's time for me to, move on to quote unquote real life and get a job. And if I'm
Mhm.
not winning Olympic medals, then I don't know. It was just kind of tricky for me to kind of see that I could pull myself out of this. And
Yeah.
I struggled a little bit with graduation from university and kind of staying around Trojan Swim Club for a while and not being a part of the college team was a different environment that kind of was a challenge for me. And so actually I would say like April, March of last year, I thought that I was done swimming and I kind of pulled a temporary retirement
Mhm.
that lasted about a couple weeks until I realized, like this isn't sitting well with me and there is more swimming for me out there. And that's when I decided I should give it an opportunity in San Diego. But for me, anytime that swimming becomes not fun and it becomes something where external pressures are placed on me, i.e. like this real world job scenario or in high school, I struggled similarly when some of my coaches were placing a lot of pressure on me very young to, make the Olympic team out of high school in 2012. There was a lot of pressure on me that year, and any time that swimming has become anything other than just me, chasing my own goals and pursuing it for my, love of it and my love of the friendships and anything outside of my personal enjoyment. And goal chasing is kind of when it becomes a drag, I've realized. So it's it's harder than it's easier said than done, to just, enjoy it and work hard, because swimming is a lot of commitment, but it's too much commitment and it's too much work if you don't love it. And it can easily become something that is a drag, and I think it's healthy to take a break and take a step back and kind of evaluate what you love and don't love about it when it comes to those times. And if it's right for you, you'll kind of see with a little bit of perspective. I try not to place too much emphasis on Kendyl the swimmer and realize that it's only just this chapter of my life,
Yeah. So what would you say to yourself 10 years ago, maybe someone who's still swimming, who doesn't know maybe some of these obstacles that you have? Is there one piece of advice that you'd tell yourself from 10 years ago?
10 years ago? Yeah, I would say that even I would give myself advice a year ago when I was really struggling through this time in my swimming. Like, A, if you love it and you want to continue to do it, who cares what anyone else says? And B, literally, it sounds so lame, but anything is possible if you really work hard. Like, I remember when I was 10 years old, this is the question, I guess, back to what I would say 10 years ago, looking in Splash Magazine and just, like, dying over all these photos of national team athletes getting dressed for golden goggles and racing at national championships. And, like, I'm in those magazines now, and, like, I am doing that, and my friends are the most kick-ass athletes in the world, and I would have never thought that that would be me, or that I would put myself, on that level. And I think all it takes is just, like, commitment to a goal and, doing what you have to do to be better. Which sounds so lame. I know that's, like, the most cliche thing ever, but it's so true.
Yeah, this takes me back to one of the points I talked to in a previous podcast, how swimming's such a mental game, and we were having a little debate over whether swimming's harder either mentally or physically. Do you have anything to say to that? Like, which one do you think is harder?
Yeah, I think mentally.
Yeah.
I think that, like, swim practices are hard. And I've done some pretty lame ones in my life, ones that make you want to cry or do make you cry. But I think that mentally swimming can pose a lot of different challenges that are unexpected and a little tougher to grasp than just, I need to muscle my way through this practice and it's going to hurt for the next 2 hours,
Yeah. We're going to take a little break from talking about swimming here. You said you were born in California, right?
I was actually born in Newton, Massachusetts, but I've lived in California my whole life. Like, I don't know anything about Massachusetts, so San Diego is my home. Like, I've lived here since I was probably 2, so that's all I really know.
Okay, so yeah, that was gonna bring up the Super Bowl this year. So I mean, I know you don't know much about Massachusetts, but what are your thoughts on that? Do you watch football and have any thoughts about the game and the matchup?
Honestly, I'm not the biggest football girl, but I went to school at USC, and I'm all for the Rams doing something big and unexpected.
Yeah. Let's talk about college. You said earlier about the environment and how it was a little different. Can you elaborate on that? And just the difference between, I guess, maybe college swimming and your swimming now at Team Elite Aquatics, and just the differences?
Yeah, definitely. USC was so awesome. Like, my time in college swimming was, like, definitely one of the most cherished in my life. It's so fun. It's so different than anything I'd experienced before. It's exciting to go to a new program where there's so many awesome athletes around you. There wasn't a whole lot of competitive swimming in San Diego when I was in high school. Obviously now that's changed.
Yeah.
But to move to a new city and have a whole different environment where everything on the swim team is so excellent. Like, the coaching and the swimmers and the practices and everything is new and exciting and really tailored towards, like, just, it's a whole nother level. And the practices were different. My coaching style with Dave Salo was so interesting and innovative and exciting and different than anything I had ever done in club swimming. And I just really took to it really fast and swam great right off the bat. But obviously it comes with challenges. Everything in your life changes at once, which is so exciting, but it can also be a really tough adjustment socially, school wise, and it can take a little bit definitely. But I think it's really great to have a team, no matter how big it is, with a shared interest. Everyone is there to get a great education. Everyone is there to swim really fast, and to have those friendships and those relationships strengthen you and sort of carry those through your lifetime is a pretty cool thing. And swimming in meets to score points for a team is different too. In high school, I was so used to just I'm going to swim and I'm going to chase this time standard and I'm going to go to juniors or I'm going to go to Olympic trials or whatever it is and I'm going to shoot for best time. And obviously in college you still want to be going best times and there still is focus on the long course season, but collegiate swimming itself is just such a different game. It's all about, recruiting because you want the best swimmers to join your team and score more points at NC2As next year, and point scoring at NCs is like all to you want to be top four because you want to bring a trophy, not for yourself but for your college team. It's just a totally different vibe, and I think that is awesome and exciting. And pro swimming is awesome and exciting too because now that I've completed that chapter of my life, it's all about making my own decisions, and it's a little bit more flexible than club swimming in high school was. I have been in the sport of swimming at a high level for I don't know at least 10 years, and I know kind of what my goals are, and I know what types of practices I need to do, whether it's how many swims a week or how many dryland practices, what type of dryland. It's a little more tailored and individual, and I can craft my own practice schedule, and I don't have school, so I can travel the world, and it's kind of just, I don't know, it's like club swimming but better because you're in charge.
Yeah, I'm sure the team aspect, like you said, for college, for high school, that's a great part of swimming in general. But I'm gonna wrap it up here. One more question. I'm asking this to everybody, but you mentioned you like traveling the world. Is there one spot in particular that's your favorite place to go?
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, in the past year, let's just start with that because that's a really hard question. My family, actually, this is not swimming related, but my family took a vacation to Egypt this summer,
Wow.
which was freaking cool. It was so kind of unexpected. I don't think a lot of people take vacations to Egypt just for fun, but we saw a lot of historical sites that were just like mind blowing, thousands of years old. That was so awesome. But don't go in the summer because it's so hot. I also traveled to the Caribbean a couple times in the past year, which is beautiful. And it was my first time going last year, and I went back. So that's gotta mean that I loved it.
That's great. I'm gonna wrap up the podcast here. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, that's a wrap on episode 4. I'll see you next week.